wrote the script for the first two this weekend. Friday night clutch power hitting saw the Nationals victorious. Yesterday, good base running proved the difference in Game 1. But last night, the Marlins offense kept the Nats from a chance for a sweep. Joe Ross and Jose Fernandez go in the finale on Masson. It's a little breezy in the district today. Look at those trees moving around. Fans coming in from every entrance here at Nationals Park. Most of them, of course, through the center field gate. Good pitching matchup today, Ross and Fernandez. And more on that in a moment. Bob and P, welcome back. We missed you for a day.
Good to be back. Let's do this.
All right, trying to win a series and take 3 out of 4 from a divisional foe. That's always very important. Joe Ross, really good against Miami one time this year. The other time, a blister got him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Ross is going to have a bounce-back start. Last time out against the Tigers, gave up an uncharacteristic 5 runs on 8 hits. The slider wasn't as sharp as we've seen it from Joe, so making the adjustments between starts. We go back to his start against the Marlins on April 10th, and he was nails. Just gave up 5 hits, 1 run, struck out 5 Marlins, and we're looking for something like that today. You want to get momentum today heading into that big series in New York against the Mets.
Yeah, day off tomorrow, then on to Citi Field. And here's Jose Fernandez. Talk about a guy who loves it at home, but on the road, he's almost human because he's unbeatable down in Miami.
Yeah, and you got to get him today. This is a guy that goes max effort every single pitch. The Marlins are trying to get him to tone it down a little bit, but last start is the first start all season long. He didn't use his curveball. He was strictly fastball, slider, change.
Bryce Harper, suspension over, served that last night in the nightcap. And he's back in the lineup today, hitting .273. But the on-base percentage and the walks now leading everybody. Bryce's on-base percentage is up to .461. 11 homers, 29 RBIs. Daniel Murphy not feeling well today, so Bryce, a key left-handed bat in the middle of that Washington lineup. Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Let us show you a good time in Ocean City, Maryland. Booked now at OCOcean.com. Good day to bundle up at the ballpark. It's going to be a nice sunny afternoon, but that breeze has everybody kind of wrapped up here 57 degrees at game time, and yeah, quite gusty. Blowing toward the right field corner. Joe Ross, Derek Dietrich. And here's Joe making his 7th start.
Yeah, last start he used that fastball 57% of the time. You see it right there, averaging 93 miles an hour.
Derek Dietrich in the series, 2 for 8. And we're underway with a strike right on time at 135.
Coming off his first rough start of the year on the 10th against the Tigers, gave up 5 runs on 8 hits over 6 innings, struck out 4 Tigers, walked 2 through 97 pitches.
Fastball a little bit up, but a good location to the left-handed batter. Just like that, it's 0-2. Dietrich, 1 career at bat, at least plate appearance against Joe. He was hit by a pitch.
Heads up!
'18-year veteran behind the plate. That's Alfonso Marquez. Chris Guccione, David Rackley, and the crew chief Larry Vanover first, second, and third. Dietrich hitting .341 in May, and Joe Ross pulls the string on a great off-speed pitch. So the Marlins are hitting .274, 3rd in the National League, 10th in runs, 10th in home runs. Always aware of where Giancarlo Stanton is as far as coming up and who's in front of him and who's behind him. So they've controlled him pretty well in this series. 3 for 14, 1 for 4 career with an RBI against Joe Ross. Pretty much their regulars all in there today, of course, with the absence of the suspended D. Gordon. Here's Prado. Martin Prado, 1 hit in the first 2 games of the series, and he had 3 with a walk last night. There's that slider. It's a good one.
Slider right out of the gate for Joe Ross. The first 2 he's thrown, the strike 3 to Derek Dietrich and that one to Martin Prado. That's the Joe Ross slider. He's on top of it. It's out front. Kind of got around it last start. Maybe didn't get a real good feel for it against the Tigers.
That's another one, and he had him reaching. Danny Espinosa up with it. Strikeout and a ground out. 2 down.
Well, here's your Nationals defense behind Joe Ross today. Quentin Robinson getting the start in left field. Jason Worthoff. And Stephen Drew, a last-minute replacement for Daniel Murphy. Not last minute, but hey, about an hour before the game?
Right.
Murph not feeling well. He'll take the day off. We'll watch Clint Robinson and Stephen Drew go. Bench has been great for Dusty Baker.
It has. Here's Christian Yelich in the series, 3 for 12. With a home run, 2 RBIs, a pair of walks. Stanton on deck. Way inside, and these 2 rather, have faced each other 4 times. 0 for 1 Yelich. Joe Ross has walked him 3 times. And the 2-0. Took a little bit off and got the outside edge with it.
Well, I just feel like it's going to be a good day anytime D.C. Washington sings the national anthem. I mean, he just rips that thing. It's so perfect every time.
He's our guy.
Yeah. I feel like he needs to do every playoff game from here on out, always. Just get you fired up and ready to play. Dusty Baker went over and shook his hand after the national anthem today.
Cool. 3-1 pitch, and Yelich to the left side. Rendon, long throw. Yelich is out, according to Chris Guccione. And Don Mattingly immediately puts his arm out to hold everything, and will, I'm sure, at least have the Marlins clubhouse and dugout consider this one.
Well, I tell you what, Ryan Zimmerman, probably not a very good poker player, because he took about 3 steps, and they weren't very convincing toward the Nats dugout. You know, if you know the guy's out, you run all the way to the dugout and say, go ahead and challenge it. So we'll look at it again. But what a great play by Anthony Rendon to make it that close. I mean, let's not get caught up in the replay. Let's appreciate the play that Anthony Rendon just made. I mean, Christian Yelich can fly. And when you're playing third base, you're not ready for a ball from a left-hander. So for him to go to his right like that, dive, get up, and maybe get him at first base, we'll see.
Well, the Marlins dugout took a long time, and now they want a challenge. And why not? They have Giancarlo Stanton on deck, and it's early in a ball game.
But I feel like a lot of times we don't celebrate the play enough, and we're so worried about the outcome with replay now. And we need to celebrate that play for a second, because that is called being ready to play baseball. After a long day yesterday, no BP today, Anthony Rendon with his first chance makes a 4-star play. See it. Yeah, he looks safe.
Has to be indisputable since he was called out, so this will be interesting.
Good stretch by Ryan Zimmerman. He did all he could do. Oh, they called him out?
Runner is out.
Yes.
They evidently didn't see enough to overturn the call. Brilliant by Rendon, really good by Zimmerman on the back end of a 5-3. To mention a standoff with Giancarlo that can wait till the second. Here's Anthony Rendon in the number 2 spot today. So he's hitting just .226, but Anthony's getting on base. 5 walks in this series, couple of hits, 19 bases on balls this season, and he's 4th in the league in runs. So he's got Bryce right behind him, Ryan Zimmerman up to the cleanup spot, as the Nats had to scratch Daniel Murphy about an hour and a half before the game. Jose Fernandez, 23 years of age.
Last start, he did not throw his curveball, just fastball slider change. Fastball averaged 95 miles an hour. He went 7 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts, allowed just 4 hits against the Brewers on the 9th. So he's coming off a good one.
.4-0 with a 105 against the Nationals. 0.73 in Miami. 3.18 here in D.C. No decisions against the Nats here. Ben Revere's 2 for 11 against him. And Ben is 1 for 10 in this series.
Marlins are trying to get Jose to kind of dial it back a little bit. And if you look at the first 2 pitches, 90 and 92. And why do they want him to do that? So he can go deeper into ball games. A lot like Max Scherzer. He throws 92, 93, reach back 97.
And you could look at his season. He won 7 last time against the Brewers, but that's his longest. Only 3 times 6 innings, 5 innings a couple of times, 5 2/3 once. And a 2-2 to Revere, and Ben will fly it left side. The wind might keep this in play, but it's not reachable for Christian Yelich, who is playing off the line.
I think the last time the Nats faced Jose Fernandez in South Florida, that was a perfect example. He came out throwing 95-97. He looked like a closer from the first inning. His pitch count was up.
Yep.
We didn't think he'd make it through 5 innings, but he figured out a way to do that.
Revere hits one hard to center. Right there, Marcell Ozuna.
Check out your Marlins D for Game 4 of the series. Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton in the outfield. Echeverria, Prado left side. Dietrich Bohr right side. JT Real Muto behind the plate.
Yeah, the Nats had him at 22 pitches after 1 inning in that game. 54 after 2 innings, 70 after 3, and then he managed to go 7 innings that day. A Miami 6-1 win. Anthony Rendon takes an 0-1 pitch. He's 3 for 14 career against Fernandez, and in this series 2 for 9 in RBI, on base 7 times. Up the middle. That's where they're playing him with Dietrich. Nationals, couple of good hacks to start the game, and next up is Bryce Harper.
It's my favorite when these two face right here. I mean, this is two guys are going to be seeing each other for a long time.
Right now the matchups, 3 for 11, 1 RBI for Bryce, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. So they've each had their moments. Harper in the series 2 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs, and like Rendon, 5 walks, on base 7 times. Fernandez coming right at him, and he misses inside. On base percentage leaders, it's Bryce now by a big margin over Dexter Fowler and the rest of them.
And Dexter can thank his own team for Bryce being in first.
Yeah, and kind of crazy to say, but if a couple of things go wrong today here and in Colorado, the series in New York could be for second place behind the Phillies. How about those guys? They're a game behind the Nationals right now. 7 over at 22 and 15, the Fightin' Phils.
Well, that's why today's big. You want a good momentum builder going up to New York tomorrow on the train. It's a big series coming up for late May.
Big series, big pitching matchups. 3-1, and that's on the outside edge.
All fastballs, I believe. That's so much for pacing himself. That was 97.
Well, he's geared up for this guy, isn't he? Oh, that's close. Fernandez, for a moment, looked down to the ground. He thought he had a strikeout, and Bryce Harper walks for the 41st time.
Now, that was actually the easiest take for Bryce of the bunch.
Yeah. Ryan Zimmerman is next. Nine RBIs, his last 12 games. Against Fernandez, 3 for 11 with a walk. Well, he's on the attack with the heater early. How to play. Outfield around to the right just a bit. Zimmerman looking for his first base hit of the series. Bryant's hit the ball hard about 4 times this weekend. That's right off the end of the bat as he goes extended to stay alive. Got him on a big hook. Nets get a base runner. Harper stranded. Could be a great pitching matchup and a tough day for hitters.
Taste of the world. I want to taste Denmark. Come out to the ballpark with a special ticket. You enjoy bite-sized culinary delights, entertainment for more than a dozen embassies, and take home a set of Nationals salt and pepper shakers. May 28th, you can taste the whole world, or a styrofoam cup, whatever you prefer.
There he goes again. Oliver Perez unraveling his cup.
Someone was asking me, they're saying, if it's styrofoam, how can he do that? It is. It's a styrofoam cup. Those are Gatorade, I think, coffee cups.
Yeah.
Maybe it's paper. I don't know. Did Ray read any promos yesterday?
He was busy researching. I mean, we had a lot of pitchers in that doubleheader.
So you read all the promos for 18-8. Ray, come on. You got to do some promos next time, Ray night. Let's go.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I got you today.
I did forget to mention Georgia barbecue on the Taste of the World. Myself, I'd like a hot dog from Vienna.
There you go.
Austria, not Virginia.
Boy, he's
2 balls and 2 strikes.
He's got the nasty slider going today.
You know, it's interesting because when he threw a slider to Martin Prado in the first inning, a word came into my mind that we haven't used around here since Drew Storen left. You know what I'm talking about,
Killer
right?
slider.
Killer slider.
All right.
And he threw one of those to Prado, who had no chance. Stanton in the series, 3 for 14, 1 for 4 career against Joe, with an RBI and a 2-2 pitch now. That's a tapper. Pitcher right there. 4 straight to start the game, and the last 3 on ground balls, and that's a real good sign.
WUSA 9 is giving away a brand new Mercedes-Benz. No way. Just watch Wake Up Washington on WUSA 9 tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. for your chance to win a Mercedes-Benz CLA 250.
Wow.
There's only a few days left to enter to win, only on WUSA 9. So all you have to do is get up at 6 and you get a Mercedes.
Pretty cool. Plenty of time to gas it up and get to work. Here's Justin Bour. Hit a long home run to dead center against Tanner Roark last night. In the series, 1 for 6. Chops that one to the right side. Zimmerman way off the bag. Plenty of time, though, to feed the good athlete Joe Ross. 4 straight ground balls.
1-3 and 3-1, 2 outs.
And Stephen Drew is over there to help if needed. Subbing for Murphy at second base in this day game. Next up is Marcell Ozuna.
Put it all in your mouth at once. The whole thing.
Wow.
Do it.
He's trying.
You can do it. Come on. Nobody likes a quitter.
He will be bouncing around upside down in about 45 minutes. That's a great fastball to the inside edge on Ozuna, who now has a 14-game hitting streak and hitting .446 over that time.
His slider's just money. Man. I mean, maybe he talked to Max after his 20 strikeout game, because Max Scherzer's slider gets the Tigers maybe the best I've ever seen it. It was late and quick. What does that mean? Well, it looked like a fastball for a long time, and then it just hung a left. And it had velocity, and the Tigers obviously weren't picking it up, and the Marlins aren't either.
Yeah, they're not seeing that thing, much less touching it with the bat. 6 in a row for Joe Ross, bookending the first and second innings with strikeouts. 4 ground balls in between.
A cold one on this Sunday afternoon. Look forward to Miller Time later in the ballgame. That's brought to you by Miller Lite.
Cool day. That guy is red hot. 25 pitches, 18 strikes, first 2 innings. Here's Clint Robinson. Clint in the series, 0 for 3 with a walk. Got a start last night.
Got a tater off Jose Fernandez.
He does. 2 for 3 career with a home run.
Got him in there today.
Yeah, Jason Worth getting 2 consecutive games off.
Look at the truck on top of it. There's the tater. September 18th, 2015. See you later, as you would say.
Yeah, and even Fernandez had to admire and have a smile about that one. That was in the second inning of Friday night when the Nats had a walk-off sac fly by Jose Lobaton to win 5-4. Robinson to the right side, overpowered by that changeup. It just got him on a bad part of the bat. He's thrown out by Dietrich for the first out. Wilson Ramos 2 for 8 in the series with a laser-like home run yesterday. Leading off the 6th. Got the Nats a big run late in that game. So this year he's hit 4 with 14 RBIs. 1 for 11 with a run batted in career against Jose Fernandez, who's 4-0 with a 1.05 ERA and 7 starts against the Nats. But all 4 of those wins in Miami. No decisions here with a 3.18 ERA.
Yeah, 6-10 on the road with a 3.77 for his career, and the astounding 20-1 with a 1.65 at Marlins Park. But this year, opponents are hitting 246 against Fernandez on the road, just 212 at home.
1-1 pitch. Ramos a good rip, straight back and went. Reds are trying to break up the Phillies. They have a run early at Philadelphia, 1-0. Cincinnati. Phils have won 3 straight. Jacob deGrom for the Mets later at Colorado. Ramos to right field. Behind in the count, Fernandez worked him away, and he got that baby right on the sweet spot. Wilson Ramos continues his great hitting, over 355 the batting average now.
There goes the no-hitter, Wilson Ramos, with a line drive to right. That's a box you definitely have to check against a pitcher like Jose Fernandez. Nice piece of hitting by the Buffalo. Stayed on that low pitch, and he's been hitting the low pitch really well.
Batting .361 now. And that ball hit pretty well by Danny Espinosa. Going back is Yelich, and he has it halfway onto the track. Ramos has to hustle back. Danny Espinosa on the attack, and he almost got it to the bullpen wall.
That might have had distance on a normal day, but the wind's blowing straight in from left. You see him square this outside fastball up from Jose Fernandez. Nice running catch by Christian Yelich, but that ball was tagged. I don't know how much the wind affects the low line drive because the field is below sea level, but look at, he's frustrated. He knew he got that ball.
Yeah. Well, the wind couldn't have helped that ball. We know that. So here's Drew batting 8th. Daniel Murphy couldn't answer the bell today. The next 5 spots of the lineup all moved up and Drew into the 8th spot. Counts even 1-1 with 2 outs.
He ain't feeling well.
To quote one of the great public address announcements of all time. I'll tell you more about that later. Justin Bour has it. That's it for the Nats. In the bottom of the 2nd, Mike Rizzo is going to join us for the top of the 3rd. Stay tuned. Hit Wilson Ramos at opposite field base hit a moment ago. And as we come here for the 3rd inning, Mike Rizzo has found his way to the top floor of the ballpark. It's great to see you, Mike. And congratulations on the pickup of your option. You are with us through the 2018 season. So you give out some contracts this week, but you get one too.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to put it behind us and look forward to the business at hand, which is winning games and preparing for the rest of the season. We've got the amateur draft coming up, which is like Super Bowl Sunday for us. So we're looking forward to getting down to work now.
And this young man you obtained, this Joe Ross guy, looking pretty good today.
Joe, man, he competes, and he's got the poise of a veteran and good stuff, and he's a great athlete. And there's a lot to like about Joe Ross.
JT Realmuto, the Miami catcher, leads off, and the count's even 1-1.
Well, there's a lot to like about all the guys you signed in the offseason. I mean, everybody you picked up has done their job, starting with Daniel Murphy and all the bullpen guys, and the bench has been fantastic.
Yeah, the game plan we had going into the season was, we recognized, we didn't have the perfect team and the perfect roster. We weren't as balanced as I liked it to be. So we went out and did our thing, and tried to acquire players that would help us in all aspects of roster construction, and it just gives the manager more tools to work with, and I thought the bench was and the bullpen were two big parts of it.
Right up the middle, a slider that Joe, maybe for the first time today, didn't bury low and outside to a right-handed batter, and JT Realmuto has a base hit. Going down to the number 8 spot now with Adeiny Echeverria. So the Nats have picked up Mike's contract option. Another 2.5 years, farm system up there in the top 6 in baseball. 2012, the division-winning playoff year. Major League Baseball Executive of the Year. And Mike, this was no accident. When you came here, the Diamondbacks were so highly rated. They were number 1 as the minor league organization. So you've brought that approach with you to D.C. And I don't know, is there a formula? What is the approach that you try to take in building 2 different organizations?
Well, as we did in Arizona, when I got there, and when we got there, it was an expansion franchise, so we were starting from ground zero as we were here. And believe me, this is not the Mike Rizzo hour. It's the people that we put in here. That's the thing I'm most proud of. If I can pat myself on the back for one thing, it's that we put together a really good staff. Scouts. We brought in scouts, and the learners allowed us to pay the guys to come here. The best and the brightest minds in the front office, our analytical department, our scouting and player development department. Guys that are never around the ballpark that the normal person doesn't know about, but he's grinding it out in the car somewhere in the country. The Doug Harris's, Chris Klein's of the world that get very little credit, but mean the world to us, and that's what this thing's all about.
Well, I mean, how has your life changed besides the obvious since you were that guy? I mean, you were the guy that grinded it out, drove everywhere, and now here you are with an extension, GM of one of the best teams in baseball.
Well, you go from the world of getting up at 6 o'clock every morning, be in the airport, you're on a flight, going to another game, seeing another city, unpacking, backing up the car and driving 55, 60,000 miles a year. And those physical rigors to really the mental rigors, the stress and the management of the people above you and the hundreds of people that you control below you.
Mike Rizzo with us here in the top of the 3rd.
I have trouble remembering to feed my dog.
We have a lot of assistants. I've got a lot of assistants.
2-0 pitch. It's fouled off the other way. Mike, going back to decisions coming out of spring training, I think the average fan might be interested to know, because you procure the players, you bring them into the organization during the offseason. At the end of spring training, is it a joint thing with you and Dusty, who stays, who doesn't, and how does that process work, and how difficult are some of those decisions?
Well, it definitely, this whole thing is a team effort. It's, Dusty's involved in the offseason when we acquire players, because he's got information and context that may have vital information about where we're going and who we're trying to obtain and that type of thing.
Well, Joe Ross jamming Echeverria, that one sneaking over the reach of Ryan Zimmerman because he was holding the runner. And now Jose Fernandez has a chance to move up both with a bunt.
How seamless has it been having Dusty Baker as your skipper? It seems to us up here, you're obviously way more contact with the whole scenario than we are, that it couldn't be going better.
Yeah, well, he's an easy guy to communicate with. He's you know, very much like myself, very upfront. You know, very black and white, no gray areas, and you know, we talk baseball, we talk personalities, we talk you know, all sorts of stuff. You know, like, you know, the general manager you know, interactions is on a daily basis, but you know, he's a person that has done this for so long and so successfully that you know, you let him take care of business. And I go in there every day, every night, win, lose or draw. You know, what do you need? What are we looking for? Do we need to make a change? Do you need a bullpen arm? Do you need this? Do you need that? And we discuss it. And some meetings take an hour, and some meetings take a minute. So it's a good rapport and a good relationship. And you know, it was a very smooth transition with not only with the front office and Dusty, but with Dusty and the players.
Jose Fernandez, 1 sacrifice bunt this year, 14 in his career. Rendon, Zimmerman pinching from the corners. Espinosa wheeling his way over to third, and that's a perfect bunt to take third base out of play. And so it's Rendon to Drew on a 5-4 sacrifice. My couple of really big things happening this week: the Strasburg extension, and then Max Scherzer. First of all, Max, you brought him here to win games, but does it amaze you the way he wins some of these games that you have brought him in here for?
Well, you know, I can honestly say it does. Anything he does not surprise or amaze me. You know, we recognized this back when he was pitching at the University of Missouri. We drafted him, I think, 16th or 15th overall back in 2006 when I was with the Diamondbacks, and we saw, you know, what we liked about him was, you know, his stuff was good, and you know, he's physical and all that stuff, but the way he attacked was the thing that I remember writing in my report was a separator for me. You know, he attacked the hitters. He loved swing and misses. He disliked the batters when they got in the batter's box, and I think that kind of was something that I remember saying, recognizing it. I remember telling people about it, and a guy that you know, kind of you know, forgive the pun, but he was a steely-eyed, you know, kind of a pitcher that that went after you and attacked you, and that was kind of the personality and the stuff that we wanted back in the day. And when we acquired him at the time, you know, he's had great success coming off a Cy Young and that type of thing, and you know, he's been as advertised.
This ball popped up left side. Anthony Rendon, glove for shade, catches the fair ball, and a big second out with Martin Prado coming up. And then Strasburg, you're now that it's been 5 days or so, your thoughts on Steven? He's pitched since then. He's won another ball game, and he's 6-0.
We thought all along he's a 27-year-old that's, you know, we think is just scratching the surface. He's a guy that rushed through the big leagues. You know, partly our fault, partly my fault, but his stuff forced us to quicken him through the big leagues. It's just because he was so good in the minor leagues, but. You know how it is, FP, that in carpets, you know, you learn a lot pitching in the minor leagues. You learn about, it's not only how hard can you throw, where can you throw it, how many pitches you have, but it's you know, how do you go through the grind of every 5 days? How do you cover first? How do you field your position? How do you handle the bat offensively? Those are all the things you learn by throwing 200-300 innings in the minor leagues like most people do. This guy zipped through the minor leagues so fast that he didn't have that chance. I think he's just starting to figure out the full repertoire, what it takes to be a really good elite starting pitcher, and you know, we feel that his best days are ahead of him, not behind him, and he's been pretty darn good, you know, in the past, and we're looking forward to him continuing that in the future.
And how to be a good teammate, how to be a winning player, things you learn at the minor league level that are really tough to learn at the highest level if you haven't spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, and maybe that influences you taking your time with a guy like Lucas Giolito.
Well, it does, and that comes into play because the sign of him allows us to be more patient with our younger players. The next wave, of, you know, as we like to call it, you know, Giolito and the Voths and the Lopez's of our system. That, you know, that we have 4 or 5 established starters that are in the big leagues and that we control for an extended period of time. It's something that we're allowed to do.
One more thing, Mike, about Strasburg. I remember back in 2012, and you explained to us broadcasters what you were going to do with the so-called shutdown, and you said something I will never forget. You said, I don't want to look this young man in the eye a year or so after his surgery, if we bring him back too soon, and say, now your shoulder's ready for surgery. Now you get to look him in the eye and say, hey, here's a new contract. Job well done. So you, in my opinion, you've been vindicated on that count because you took a lot of heat for that situation.
Well, we did, and that's
lost in the sun. Stephen Drew on that pop fly. Absolutely right in the sun, because this time of the year is right behind home plate, directly in the eyes of the second baseman.
Oh, right when you think Joe Ross is going to wiggle out of that jam, watch him put his hands out. I don't see it. I don't know where it is. And then at the last second, he tries to stab at it. And I don't care how long you've been playing. There's nothing you can do about that. The only thing, in hindsight being 2020, is you're just hoping for some help from somebody else. But how do they know you can't see it until you put your arms out? By then, it was probably too late.
Tough break. 2-run score. Rio Muto and Echeverria home on that one. And here's Yelich. Anyway, Mike, I know that was a tough call and some vindication now, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It's, we took some heat for that, but hey, it's as I said then, I'll say it now. I slept like a baby throughout the whole process, and you have a relationship with these guys and their parents, and when we took them as a 20-year-old, I promised the parents we'd take care of them, and we fulfilled our end of the bargain, and he rewarded us for it by staying at home for the team that was loyal to him. He was loyal to us. So we've done it with him. We've done it with a lot of players, and vindication's not what I was looking for. But every 5 days when he's on the mound, I feel good about our chances to win that game on that day. So in that regard, we're proud of the way we handled him, Zim, and the guys that were before him and after.
Italians, Bob, we don't look for vindication. We get revenge. And Mike has a list, a hit list of all the maybe pundits out there that were all over him that year. So
it was a long list.
He's got a long list, and he has a long memory, and he'll get his revenge. He doesn't care about vindication.
Hey, the revenge is a ring.
That's exactly right. That's
2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs, and that's a little bit outside. Well, that gets the call at 2-2. Hey, Mike, real quick before we let you go, just 2 outs. Your thoughts on the ball club so far? What needs to get better? I mean, 9 over 500, nothing to be mad about, but can this club get better?
I think we can. We need guys to hit like they're supposed to hit. I think that's our major conversation that we had. We need Zim and Jason to get the bat going. We need Ben to get out of spring training mode. He's a month behind everybody else, and get it rolling. So once we get guys hitting on all cylinders, or a majority of guys, I think it'll even out. Murph's not going to hit 400 for the season, and I don't see Revere hitting 090 either.
Hey, Mike, thanks.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Mike Rizzo with the Nats, at least through the end of the 2018 season. 2-0 Miami.
Pretty cool. Celebrate Max Scherzer's first no-hitter with the first of 2 no-hitter bobbleheads. That's presented by PNC Bank. May 23rd, first 25,000 fans will receive a piece of history when you take home this bobblehead as the Nats take on the New York Mets. Visit nationals.com/tickets for more details.
Joe Ross up there, bottom of the 3rd underway. Miami in shocking fashion, a couple of runs right there.
Thought the GM did a nice job of not breaking our desk when that ball was dropped at second.
Restraint, the better part of valor, they say, right? 1 ball, 1 strike to Joe. 3 for 13 this year. 6 major league hits.
I mean, it's big. You're facing a guy like Jose Fernandez. You can't afford to just give a team a couple of runs like that. Just unfortunate. Stuff happens, I guess. Now there's clouds, and he would have caught that ball.
A couple minutes later. Joe Ross gets a hanger and bangs it right up the middle. Fernandez got a lot of plate with that, and Joe made him pay. 4 for 14 on the year.
Joe Ross can hit. Look at him stand that slider right back up the middle, and he can run too. Dusty Baker can play hit and run baseball with Ben Rivera if he wants. Probably won't down by 2.
That's the 15th hit by the Nationals pitching staff.
He can steal the base. I think they're talking about the pop-up right now. Ryan Zimmerman, Dusty Baker.
Ben Rivera hit the ball well first time, lined out to center. This is a fly ball to short center. Ozuna has it, and Ben's 1 for 12 in this series. Let's go inside the numbers with Jeep as we talk about Jose at home and Jose on the road. More starts at home. 20 out of 21 decisions. Unbelievable. ERA, opponent's batting average, runners in scoring position numbers, no contest. But on the road, he doesn't give up many hits either. 2 today to the battery, Ramos and Ross. Anthony Rendon hit the ball sharply up the middle first time. Right where Derek Dietrich is playing, maybe a little to his right first time. A lot of ground ball room on the right side of the infield. And Rendon will hit this in the air to right. Coming in Stanton. He's fighting the sun a bit. Last second adjustment, 2 outs. One of those days when the clouds roll by and the conditions changing on just about every at bat. Harper is next. Bryce walking first time on a 3-2 borderline pitch. That was outside. Some hitters would have not been able to take that.
I mean, the only way you can avoid what happened to Stephen Drew is if you start screaming as loud as you can, I can't see it. And then maybe you get help from Ryan Zimmerman or Danny Espinosa. The other thing you could do for you younger players is turn your body to create an angle with the sun. Sometimes that helps, but every once in a while, those medium pop-ups, they seem to kind of linger in the sun, where the higher ones go through the sun on the way up, they come back through the sun on the way down, but the medium ones will stay in the sun a little bit longer. I think that's what happened to Drew. And there's not a whole lot you could do except for, I guess, panic.
Middle infielders all getting together there. Drew, Espinosa, Murphy.
You could read his lips. He said, I had no clue where that ball was at.
Outside DeBryce, and the count 2-2. Fernandez, career record 26-11. 55th start tonight. 8th against the Nationals. Ozuna continues to play Bryce really deep in center. It's a line drive at Stanton and right. 3 fly ball outs. And the Nationals are gone after the Joe Ross hit in the bottom of the 3rd. To the middle innings, Miami trying to get a split if they can win today.
That's down 2-0 early on. Clinton Robinson played 37 games in the outfield last year, his first time in the outfield in his professional career. So he came into spring this year having worked on his legs this offseason, trying to be ready for some more outfield action. He told me he built up the strength in his legs, he worked on his hip flexor flexibility, but in spring training he only got 2 innings in the outfield because the Nationals improved their outfield depth this offseason. He has been shagging fly balls every day this season just to try and stay as fresh as possible. But this is something new for Clint. Hasn't been out in the outfield for an extended time since all the way back to last year.
Well, the ball will find you, they say, but it hasn't yet because Joe Ross has been pretty efficient, almost everything on the infield. Except for a 1 base hit and a little bloop that got through.
And once you know his first start out there is on maybe the roughest day of the year here at Nats Park with the sun and the wind.
Yeah. Candlestick in DC Southeast today.
Yeah.
Not to that extreme, but by no means easy. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting. That's Dan with our Coons.com sideline report. Giancarlo. Bouncing ball back to Joe Ross first time. This ball hit hard. It's slicing. Look out. 300 feet away. That's got a lot of mustard on it.
Yeah, if you go to a ball game and Giancarlo Stanton hits a line drive foul, do not try to catch it.
Unless you have leather.
No, even if you have leather. Duck under your seat.
1-2. That's a busted bat. Not in the air long enough for anybody to have a chance, and that was down the steps of the dugout anyway. Joe Ross had a long inning in the 3rd, 24 pitches. There's 2 leadoff singles. And the sacrifice. Later the error really extending things. But pitching well. In the air to left. All right, talk about Clint Robinson. First game all year and the ball finds him. So evidently Clint was waiting for Dan's report. 1 out in the 4th.
Pups in the park. All right, bring your furry friend to Nats Park Friday, May 27th. for this season's third Pups in the Park presented by Budweiser. We'll have water bowls for your dog full of Budweiser. Proceeds from owners and dog tickets benefit the Washington Humane Society. That is fantastic. Visit nationals.com/pups to purchase your tickets today.
Fastball in there to Justin Bohr. Bounced out to Ryan Zimmerman first time. Nationals are in the shift, and Stephen Drew is out in short right field. Running that fastball to the outside edge.
Got the swing and miss slider work. I mean, just read the swings you're seeing today. The pop-up to Stephen Drew was a broken bat by Prado. Just broke Giancarlo's bat on a foul ball in the dugout that went about 30 feet.
Nissan tracking it.
The base hit by Echeverria was an inside-out broken bat, so he's maybe has his best stuff of the year here today so far. It's early, but he looks sharp.
Bohr hooking one, heading for the mezzanine. Inside the numbers with Jeep, slugging late in the count. Guys who get it done with 2 strikes. So Justin Bohr right up there with 2 of the best in the league overall. Nolan Arenado still leads the league in home runs with 13. Bohr hits that ball well. It's going to carry out to Ben Revere. 2 outs here in the 4th. Anthony Rizzo has taken the league RBI lead with 33. Arenado 32.
Do you ever get in a slump? I'm in a slump right now.
You are?
Yeah, every time I'm starting to compliment somebody, something bad happens. I mean, I thought Bohr just went deep right there when I'm saying Joe Ross has his best stuff of the year, so I'm in a slump.
Yeah. Joe Ross has nothing for Marcell Ozuna.
I need to get some extra work in or something.
Struck him out first time.
There you go.
Burying that sinker to the right-handed batter. Want this one upstairs. Didn't miss inside by much. "14-game hitting streak. That is the longest in the National League this year. 5 different players have had 12-game streaks. Jackie Bradley of Boston, 28. His is still current. Some long streaks in the American League. Machado, Hosmer.
I saw his amazing story about DiMaggio's streak. He was going for the record, or close to the record, or he was playing the Senators. It was the second game of doubleheader, and somebody stole his bat between doubleheaders, and one of the Yankees was using his model, and he came down to the last at bat, and he grabbed his bat from his buddy and got a base hit, extended the streak.
Wow.
There's so many
Yankees
stories within the story about that hitting streak. I think that's the one record with media coverage. And
the guy would be crushed.
he would age in presidential years if you got close to that streak. See a guy that's 25 with gray hair by the time he got to 45 games.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Legendary stories about Roger Maris chasing Babe Ruth's record. His hair was falling out at the end of that season.
Well, plus, I mean, today's game, say you're 0 for 3, you're going to have to get a hit off a guy throwing 99. Every team has one. So, I mean,
call.
You're not extending your streak on your last at-bat in your 4th or 5th at-bat against the same pitcher.
3-2 with 2 outs. And a ball hit high in the air. Let's see if there's an adventure here. Michael A. Taylor sees it. Pardon me, Ben Revere out there. Ben had his glasses blazing in the sunshine. Ooh, baby. That's a rack of ribs for a Sunday afternoon.
Put more sauce on than that. Let's go. Seriously.
Race. Teddy won both ends of the doubleheader yesterday. Don't know how much he might have left. Abe looking good. And this is the stretch run. And George, we're not sure where Herbie's been for the last several days. He finished second. 5-man racing yesterday. It's all brought to you by Geico. That doesn't wake up a crowd in a 2-0 game. What will? Maybe Ryan Zimmerman's bat. Ryan has taken strike one. Fernandez struck him out with a breaking ball away first time, and that's a fastball, 1-1. Fernandez working quickly. Zimmerman just now getting back in. Pitch inside, fouled. Ryan's been the hard luck guy in this series. Been a whole bunch of line drives, especially yesterday. Right at Marlins. And a 2-2. Real Muto holding it there. Must have been high.
That's not where he wanted that slider, I'll tell you that.
Cool shake of the head by Real Muto toward the dugout. And Zimmerman hits that one pretty well out to right center. Ball tailing to the gap, and they collide. Two outfielders are down, not moving. Zimmerman's going to circle the bases as Ozuna and Stanton are still on the track. And for Ryan Zimmerman, it's an inside the park home run.
I think Ozuna got the worst of that one. And that's a large man that he just crashed into. And let's hope they're okay. I mean, I thought their lower bodies hit, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see any like upper body contact or around the head. And now Ryan can celebrate because they're okay.
He's
and give
hit
Nats
his fourth
fans
homer of the year.
A lot of credit here. They didn't go crazy for the home run. They remained quiet to see that these guys were okay. Class act right there by Nats fans.
Absolutely. Ozuna and Stanton, two very valuable pieces of Miami property, colliding there, sort of deflecting off each other.
When have you seen a game with all 3 runs scored this weird?
You know, you just kept waiting for one of them to get up, and they never did.
I'm just glad they're okay, and they're both staying in the game. They were laying there, and the ball was right next to Marcell Ozuna. I mean, it was sitting next to him.
Yeah, I don't know if he was stunned or staggered or both.
Well, if Giancarlo Stanton hits you, you're D all the above. See it again. And I thought it was a lower half collision. Maybe I was wrong. Looked like their legs kind of clipped, right?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, and Stanton hit the wall. Did you see that? But I saw Ozuna put his hand on his head, and I thought their heads hit. Did his head hit the ground, Ozuna's? Yeah.
Yeah, might have.
Little whiplash there. His head hit the turf, and Stanton hit the wall. And they're both in the game.
Ryan Zimmerman circling the bases. It's now a 2-1 game. And Clint Robinson goes up swinging.
Now, you can get a concussion from whiplash. It doesn't always have to be contact with something.
The last Nationals inside the park home run that I can think of, and I think the guys in the truck too, is Austin Kearns at RFK. We think in 2006. And of course the dimensions of that ballpark conducive to that sort of thing. One ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Robinson couldn't get to it.
And when you're having a spell of bad luck like Ryan Zimmerman's having, that ball's in the air and you're thinking as you're running someone's catching that.
Yeah.
And hats off to both those guys. That's a heck of an effort. If I'm Jose Fernandez and I got guys playing behind me like that, I mean, those guys basically just ran through a wall for their pitcher. Great effort on both parts.
Ryan still getting bodily fluids replaced after that long trip around the bases.
He didn't really have to sprint.
Yeah, he looked out there as he rounded second and saw 2 outfielders laying still. We remember Austin Kearns making a right turn at home plate, tongue hanging out as he went to the third base dugout. That's where the Nats were at RFK.
Could be the longest inside the park home run ever on Zimmerman's trot. Seriously. Usually you're flying. It's a burner. I think right around shortstop he pulled up and he knew that it was a home run.
Oh, and 2 now to Wilson Ramos. He's got that right field thing going again.
Let's check out the inside the park home run trot from Ryan Zimmerman. Right there he's thinking, the way things are going, someone's catching this. Then he sees it drop. Takes a look. And I think right around third maybe is where he realizes he's got this.
Swing and a foul tip, and Ramos down on strikes. So 2 in a row for Fernandez since the home run. That was the 3rd homer of the year Jose Fernandez has given up. And next up will be Danny Espinosa. Danny hit the ball really well first time up, backed up Christian Yelich to the track and left into the teeth of that wind first time up. Pulls this one to Derek Dietrich. So Fernandez bounces back. His two teammates okay as they run in from the outfield. Zimmerman's inside the park home run gets the Nats back to within a run. Nationals baseball was brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid. All-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com today.
So Marcell Ozuna coming in off the field. We kept our cameras on him. And Jose Fernandez greets him right away, as you would expect. Thank you so much. Great effort. And then he starts explaining how he hit his head and maybe a little whiplash. Mike Kozak, the trainer for the Marlins, came over and they examined him between innings.
Base hit left side. JT Realmuto is 2 for 2. The Marlins have all of their hits from the numbers 7 and 8 hitters today. First inside the park home run in this ballpark was hit by Angel Pagan of the Mets back in 2010. We think Willie Harris had one. So it's happened in this ballpark before, but never in such dangerous fashion. Here's Echeverria, hit that little jam shot over Ryan Zimmerman down the right field line first time. And Joe Ross gets a strike call. One pitch, and that's hit well to center. Revere going back. He will get there on a full sprint straight back from where he started that play. 1 out.
Sunday Smiles are brought to you by Hair Cuttery, home of the Smile Back Guarantee. No small print, just big smiles. It's Sunday, it's sunny, you're at the yard. Smiles everywhere.
A couple of the Marlins checking in, Yelich and Fernandez. And here is Jose Fernandez. Successful sac bunt first time. That set up a couple of runs on the Lost in the Sun pop-up later in that third inning.
Jose looks like he wants to hit for the simple reason that Joe Ross got a hit off him. He's probably going to be sacrifice bunting, but he's a good hitter. Lenny Harris flashing the signs. I got him, Lenny. I just stole your signs. It's a bunt. See?
2-1.
Let's see. Go to the Marlins logo. It's a bunt. Yep, there it is. Got him.
So the rest is for show?
Yeah. Got to keep it simple for the pitchers. You know, they're like the smartest cats in the room.
Well, they're used to one's a fastball, two's a curve.
I'm going to hear it from the clubhouse for that one.
That's a good bunt. Another good one. Ross to Drew. Rio Muto scoring position, 2 outs. Top of the order, Derek Dietrich now. Miami trying to get that run back. The Nats just scored.
Didn't Michael A. Taylor have an inside the park homer last year? Thought he did.
Well, I saw a
here.
headline about that. It was described as a little league inside the park homer, so I'm not sure.
Wasn't it?
There might have been an error involved somewhere in that.
Against the Mets, maybe? Huh.
Yeah, 3 in Nationals history. Austin Kearns, Willie Harris, and now Ryan Zimmer. Two and 0 to Dietrich, who has struck out and popped up to third. Joe Ross, 2 runs, unearned. 3 hits so far. Time given rather late.
Got a base open. Martin Prado on deck. Get a right on right matchup with the slider, but pretty good hitter on deck too. Let's see what he does here in 3-1 count.
Up and in. 2 on, 2 out. Joe Ross, first walk of today. 12 on the season and nearly 40 innings. So Martin Prado, that pop-up to Drew last time. Ground ball to short before that in the series. Martin Prado 4 for 14, 3 of those hits coming last night. Came into this game 482 on the road. 482. third in the league in hits behind Daniel Murphy and Gene Segura. Now Joe has him 0-2. Will he double up on the slide piece or maybe come inside to set it up?
Well, he's got a few pitches to play with if he chooses to do so. And I mean, you could try to sink something on his hands right here and go back to the slider or just go right back to it.
Well, a lot of guys are making mistakes to Prado on 0-2. And credit the hitter for a lot of that too.
Well, he's dangerous with 2 strikes for the simple fact that now he becomes just a choke up and put the ball in play guy where he's thinking to drive before that. He's one of the few hitters left around that makes a really good 2-strike adjustment.
Yeah, and I just don't know why guys don't do that.
It's not sexy.
6 hoppers, not a big deal, huh? That go through for
I mean,
hits.
the guys are getting paid to drive the baseball nowadays, so they don't take a lot out of their swing with 2 strikes.
1 ball and 2 strikes and a fly ball to right. Bryce Harper's got a ways to go for this one. Fair ball when he catches it, and you can see the sun lighting up his sunglasses. It'll be Drew, Ross, and Revere. 2-1 game halfway through. Ballpark. They're here with us, and this is our DynCorp International Troop Recognition. It's brought to you by DynCorp International, proudly serving our nation for 70 years. Max with 20 claps.
Screech. Yeah, beautiful day, Screech.
Regaling our fans with entertainment. Bottom of the 5th. Drew coming out of the box as if to bunt. Drew in Prado from 3rd. And a called strike. Bottom of the 5th underway. Steven, a ground ball to Justin Bohr over at 1st.
So I did my homework during the break. It was September last year. Michael Taylor against Matt Harvey and the Mets hit a hard ground ball up the middle with the bases loaded. Cespedes came in and it took a bad hop over his glove.
The bad hop.
They gave him an error, but we showed the replay a bunch of times and his glove never touched the ball. So we were saying that's an inside the park grand slam. Michael Taylor got a curtain call, came out kind of sheepishly, put his hand up in the air to the crowd. It was a big game, playoff race last September. And we thought it should have been ruled a home run because Cespedes never got near the baseball. It bounced all the way over his glove. I just watched a video on my phone during the break. So that's what I was thinking of.
A good memory for baseball detail you have.
Everything else, not so much.
Yeah, and some people refuse to believe that a ground ball in the outfield can take a bad hop, but it can.
Especially here, but it did.
The Nats have a base runner, and that's ideal because the pitcher's coming up. When you have insight, you know how to handle your finances with confidence. Brought to you by PNC Bank. For the achiever in you, it's our twice-a-week update on Lucas Giolito. Nearly 6 innings last night against the Akron Ball Club. 3 hits, 3 runs, none of them earned. So that ERA down below 4 again. That's good news. Joe Ross, 2 career sacrifice bunts. That ball needs to get on the ground. It does, and then they let it go foul.
Zobby third base coach, Bob Henley. Dusty Baker's not afraid to switch it up either. You put down a bunt, 1 pitch, pull it back, slash the next pitch.
Based on Joe's first at bat, he might have him swing away here. A lot of managers want to stay away from the double play, but most managers don't have a guy swinging like Joe Ross.
Well, you can hit and run with Joe Ross. You can do a lot of different things. Not with 2 strikes, obviously, but I'm saying, you know, potentially in the future.
Nasty slider. Actually 83 on a curveball there. So Ben Revere coming up, and with more, here's Dan.
Bob, Ben Revere still trying to get things going from an offensive standpoint. 1 hit home on the homestand, despite the fact that he's hit some balls hard, lined out to center field his first at-bat today, and when he came into the dugout, he was kind of frustrated, had a look on his face. Teammates were telling him to keep his head up. Ryan Zimmerman turned around and said, keep swinging, Ben, keep swinging. They're trying to lift that confidence, let him know things will turn soon.
Well, hit the ball extremely hard first time. Second time, more of a regular fly ball to center.
It's a good teammates do. They pick you up. Try to keep you going. They know how important Ben Revere is to this lineup, and he'll lock in. It's just a matter of time.
2-0. Fans might be surprised to know that coming into this season, Ben Revere has a higher career batting average than Daniel Murphy. Murph 288, Revere 295. So he's got a track record.
But when you come to a new team and you struggle out of the gate, you put more pressure on yourself. You want to show the fans in DC how good you are. You want to show them what you have. And on the other side of that, you know, a guy like Chris Heisey comes to a new ball club. He hits 3 pinch hit home runs. He's feeling pretty good about himself. He knows the fans in DC love him, and that helps you relax as a player. But until you start performing for your new ball club as a player, you put tons of pressure on yourself to show the new fan base, to show your teammates, to show your coaches, to show everybody how good you are, when in essence everybody knows it already. That's just how a player's mind thinks.
2 on, 1 out. Dusty shedding the windbreaker. And now Anthony Rendon in a big spot. He should see something good to hit here. It's a 1-run game, 2 men aboard. Bryce Harper on deck. He has bounced out to second and hit a fly ball to right. Got the call on the front door curve. Rendon against Fernandez lifetime, 3 for 16. And he goes away with the hook. going to ring him up on the edge. 2 down. Fernandez strikeout number 5. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Boy, he's put a couple of sliders right on the black, and that's not a whole lot you can do about that if you're Rendon. Maybe emergency hack foul it off at the very least. Pretty good pitches by Fernandez to Rendon. Not out of the woods yet, though.
Bryce Harper has walked and lined out to right. He has 1 career RBI against the Miami right-hander. Looking for number 30 here or more.
Changeup, 90. This is the same situation. Joe Madden chose to walk Bryce Harper a couple of times.
By the way, Bryce has an 11-game walk streak going.
All right, first and second, 2 outs. Walked him to get to Ryan Zimmerman, loaded the bases up twice in that game in Chicago. And I think this is a pitch around. That being said, if you're Bryce Harper, you are hunting a mistake. You're laser focused on a hanging slider right here. And here comes a meeting at the mound to discuss these pitches. What do you want to do? Do you want to walk them, or do you want to pitch around them? And the reason they're having this conversation, he didn't bite on the first 2 pitches. So they're saying, hey, he's not going to bite. Do you want to just pitch around him and go to Ryan Zimmerman? Let's see if they walk him. I think that's what this conversation might be about.
Bryce Harper has been intentionally walked 11 times. Probably unintentionally walked another 15 on top of that.
Got an inside the park home run on deck, though.
2-0 the count. Drops in the hook for a strike after the pitching coach visit. Juan Nieves alongside Don Mattingly, who has his ball club 2 games over 500. 3.5 behind the Nats. Harper to left field. Ball falling, but Yelich coming to get it. Another hard line drive by the Nats. And another rally snuffed out after a couple of walks. Well played by Yelich. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. There's that 20-game hitting streak we talked about earlier with Jackie Bradley Jr. of the Red Sox. There's also an 18-gamer over there from Hosmer, 16 Machado. The Orioles, speaking of the O's, 7 straight, and they are just burying people with offense. Don Mattingly, a batting title guy, and he edged Dave Winfield. He was also a guy who would hit a whole bunch of grand slams. I think 7 one year. 1987 sounds right.
Donnie Baseball.
Kristen Yelich leads off, top 6. Ben Revere makes an adjustment to his right. Had to freeze there for a moment. That'll bring Giancarlo Stanton back in for his 3rd at bat. Well, the last thing the Marlins need is another injury to this guy. Marlins box score. All the hits, as we mentioned earlier, from the bottom 3 in the order. Real Muto 2 for 2. Stanton, a high drive to right. Harper going back, and he can only watch it drop into the bullpen. So not far away from where the collision took place. Stanton drops one in there. His 11th of the year, and the Marlins have their 2-run lead back.
I'll tell you what, when he hits them, they look like pop-ups. I thought that was a routine fly ball to Bryce Harper. You know when you watch the Little League World Series every year and the kids hit a pop-up and you're like, that's an out, and it goes 15 rows onto the hill? That's what that one was. Watch this. Just like a fly ball to right. Bryce has got this. No shot. When he hits them, they stay hit.
That'll be RBI number 25 on home run number 11 by Stanton. Justin Bour, line drive to center his last time up. Nats defense in a shift with Drew in right field. And for Joe Ross, only the 2nd home run he's given up this season. Nats have hit 47, given up 30. That's a great changeup.
Tell you what, if Stanton starts hitting home runs to right, look out. Because his problem has been he's been pulling off everything.
This one high in the air, out to left. Coming back to Clint Robinson.
I mean, the tape measure shots he hits are, you know,
Yeah.
we sit there and go ooh and ah, and it's 450, 475, the exit speed. But when you shank pop-ups for homers at the major, that's more impressive than a 475-foot. I mean, maybe it's because of our lofty perches you always say up here. You can't tell, but I honestly thought that was a routine fly ball.
Ball up the middle. Ross had to get out of the way, and then Drew couldn't get it. Marcell Ozuna has a 15-game hitting streak.
So both guys that crash,
wow,
come up big. Ozuna line drive up the middle. Stanton home run. Good effort by Stephen Drew.
And here's the guy who's hurt the Nats today with a couple of hits, JT Realmuto. Tenth time the Nationals and the Marlins have met already this year, and we haven't seen the Mets yet. That's about to change.
And the Nats are going right to Miami after New York.
Yeah. Going to have home and home twice with these guys before the end of May. Season series, Washington 5-4. Target well outside by Wilson Ramos. And the slider way out there.
Well, you thought it would be a pitcher's day today based on the conditions and 2 ball games yesterday. Probably not a lot of bounce back in either one of these clubs after a long day yesterday. But you got to find a way.
2-2 pitch. Had him reaching. Pop up into center. Revere has to pull up. Then as he loses the ball at his feet, the batter advances to second base. Danny Espinosa just delivered a bullet home. And the Marlins now have second and third. That's alert base running by JT Realmuto. Not assuming anything.
So I think this might be a single and an error. But Ben Revere got kind of tricked by the hop. Did you see that ball just kind of stick for a second? And then Danny Espinosa just shows off right here. Throws a perfect strike to home. Watch this ball kind of hit and die. Maybe it's because of the wet grass after yesterday. I don't know.
Nationals have already made 4 errors in this series. Single E8. It's been Revere's first error of the year.
Yeah, no easy out on deck either. They're going to walk Echeverria to get to Jose Fernandez, but he's going to be hacking. He's been chomping at the bit to swing all day. 2 sacrifice bunts.
Oliver Perez warming a lot earlier today than we thought anybody would be. But Joe Ross at pitch count. That was a long 3rd inning when he nearly doubled his pitch count from 25 to 49.
Well, he's working hard. He got out of that jam. I mean, he did his job.
Speaking of the season series, Jeep takes us inside some numbers. So the Nats, even behind in runs, have the advantage, 5-4. Marlins hitting better. Nats more power. ERA, similar. Bases loaded, 2 outs for Fernandez. He has 6 career RBIs on 2 home runs. He's going to pick up 2 more right there. 5-1 ball game. Heading for third, Echeverria. And the number 9 man hurts the Nats. Bottom of the order, killing it today.
Yeah, first pitch fastball right down the middle. And Jose Fernandez, like we said, chomping at the bit to hit all day. You could tell when he was sacrificed button he wanted to hit. And now he gets a chance to help himself out, and he does big time.
It looks like it's it for Joe Ross. He will fail to go 6. And other than the game when he had to leave at Miami with a blister after 2 innings, his shortest outing of the season. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the UPS Store. Together, nothing we can't solve. Visit the UPSstore.com for locations. End came quickly for Joe Ross. Here comes Perez. 3 of the 4 hits on the first pitch of their at-bats. Oliver Perez, it'll be his 14th appearance, 3.72 ERA, 13 Ks in just under 10 innings. Derek Dietrich is 0 for 2 career against him, 0 for 1 in this series. Perez got him on a big double play. On Friday night, and it's strike one. And the curveball fouled right off of Wilson Ramos.
The first slider was his normal release point. That slider was a drop down slider. Almost a sidearm slider from Perez, and that's what he does. Different deliveries, different arm angles. And I would think facing him is tough. Wilson Ramos got smoked right here. Let's check it out again. Collarbone?
Right up on that left shoulder collarbone area. Third base, Echeverria. Pitcher, Fernandez, huge hit. And that's a hot job, Ryan Zimmerman, nice hands. To his left, a difficult play. And the Marlins have a 3-run 6th inning to take a 5-1 lead.
Summary, it's brought to you by Cox's new Contour. Get right to the good stuff. 5-1 Marlins as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Ryan Zimmerman, the offense really for the Nats today, the inside the park home run, and if you missed it, we'll show it to you again right here. Got a slider from Jose Fernandez. Pretty good effort by the 2 outfielders for the Marlins, Marcell Ozuna, Giancarlo Stanton. It looked ugly, and I think where they hit was the worst part. Ozuna got a little whiplash right there. Stanton crashed into the wall. They stayed in the game. They're all right. Little concussion test out there in right field, and both of them would get hits their next time up.
Yeah, key hits to spur a 3-run 6th inning. Ryan Zimmerman, that was his first hit of this series. 2nd RBI. And now Fernandez, 84 pitches in 5 innings, working with a big lead. Yusmeiro Petit. Prado, Yelich, and Stanton in the 7th, so you'd probably want a right-hander for those 3 guys. And Ryan Zimmerman takes one low and away.
Oh, you got to find a way to run Jose Fernandez pitch count up, get it around 100, and hope you can solve the Marlins bullpen like they did in Game 1 of this series. Put some good at-bats on. Don't necessarily have to. I mean, you like to chip away, but get them up to 100 and see what happens.
Yeah. Chipping away means stringing hits together, and he hasn't allowed the Nationals to do that. Zimmerman extending to get that curve, and the count's 2-2. Highest percentage of games with 2 home runs or more. The Nationals second to the Mets right now. St. Louis the most homers in the league. The Mets right behind him. The Nationals third. 53, 52, and 47. Ryan Zimmerman, unreachable. Is that hook? Strikeout number 6.
Some caps in the house today. There they are. There's Jason Chimera. Tom Wilson crushing a hot dog. Hey, you were supposed to come up to the booth. Where are you at? Let's go. I don't think they have the volume on.
I think they get the radio feed down there.
Braden Holtby, too. Chimera's supposed to come up to the booth. He's big leaguing us.
He's NHLing us.
Yep.
And the 0-1 to Robinson. We're just junior hockey guys compared to them.
I get the families. Hey, only one team goes home happy. They had a great season.
Swing and a miss. Jose Fernandez dealing. Clint Robinson 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Next up, Wilson Ramos.
Jose Fernandez has been good all day, but you feel like that hit kind of energized him even a little bit more.
He loves to compete. I mean, he's one of those guys that likes what Bryce had to say, likes how Bryce approaches it. And Bryce has voiced his admiration for the fire he sees from Jose Fernandez. A couple of guys who are 23, who want to play the game right, but celebrate and do that the right way as well. But they don't want to be robots out there, and I like that.
You just gravitate toward anybody that's passionate about what they do, whatever it is.
You know, and baseball's always been obsessed with not showing anybody up, and that's fine. There's a way to do it, and still showing respect for the guys on the other side.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a fine line, though. I mean, where do you stop if you're going to show emotion and all that stuff? But, hey, if that's the way it's going to be, make baseball fun again.
Wow. 6th inning, curveballs, fastballs, you name it. Fernandez doing it. 8 Ks with a 4-run lead.
Nationals Park. The Nats bullpen has gotten a lot of usage over the last few days. So how does Dusty Baker determine on any given day what relievers are available and which ones aren't? Well, it's a process that starts in the morning. Pitching coach Mike Maddox and bullpen coach Dan Farova, they go up, they talk to each reliever. They see who's feeling a little sore, who's good to go that day. They'll then meet with Dusty Baker, who will get a determination of how everybody's feeling. He'll then go up and down his lineup card and jot little notes next to each reliever's name. He'll put a no if that pitcher can't go that day, NTP if that pitcher needs to pitch. He'll note who his long reliever is for that day, who can go short, who's available to set up. Dusty's saying it's not like it's rocket science, but it's not like we're just pulling straws out there either. They go into each day with a set plan.
Yusmeiro Petit, the Nats need him to pitch and pitch well here to keep Miami at bay. Top of the 7th inning. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting at Coons.com. That's Dan with our sideline report. That ball fouled off to the right side. Nats have made a change defensively. Ben Revere has gone to left. So that's where the pitcher's going to bat in Clint Robinson's spot. And Michael A. Taylor in center field. He'll be batting third in the bottom of the 7th in the number 9 hole. That could be fun. Taylor and Revere back to back as you try to make a comeback.
Yeah.
We'll see if those guys can get aboard and start moving around.
Just got to keep it right here. Slam range. One swing away. Load him up, see what happens.
Martin Prado, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 0 for 3 today. 3 for 9 career against Yusmeiro Petit. That's going to drop into left center. Martin Prado, 5 hits out of 16 at bats in this 4-game series.
Mercedes on the pitch track show you a slider that just stayed up, and Martin Prado getting on top of it. Short, compact swing. Doing what he does best.
Marlins is in this inning, other than Giancarlo, some good numbers against Petit. That's 4 for 10 for Prado. Yelich 3 for 7 against him. Strike 1.
You know, I thought that hit might have fired up Jose Fernandez, but maybe it was Ryan Zimmerman's hit that fired up, because after that inside the park home run, he struck out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Nats after that.
Yeah, 7 out of his 8.
And maybe the fact that his outfielders were going that hard for a baseball locked him in.
That ball hit hard. Espinosa cradles it. Drew, a shortstop himself, turns it, and a very nice 6-4-3. Danny Espinosa, after a couple of early errors, has just played spectacular shortstop for this ball club.
He really has, and it's the kind of shortstop where you just kind of forget about him and take him for granted, and that's a compliment in every way. That was a nasty in-between hop on a ball hit hard. Good turn by Stephen Drew. Yelich can run. Kind of threw him a changeup right there, but good turn. Nice play on a tricky hop. Danny Espinosa's been strong.
There's Giancarlo Stanton. Oh for 6 career against Petit. I mean, He was trying to hit that ball to the big curly W flag out by where Johnny and Ray were. Look at that power zone. From up and away to down and in. And pitch number 1 in the wheelhouse. Breaking ball. That one flied out to left center. Long run. Michael A. Taylor is there. And that's it for the Marlins in the top of the 7th inning. Time to stretch at Nationals Park. Late offense needed, or else it's a split. Righted telecast is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals.
5-1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Beautiful day for baseball, beautiful day for a comeback, but the story of this one's been Jose Fernandez. Time for some Kia in the driver's seat. Jose has definitely been in the driver's seat of this one. Ever since the inside the park home run to Ryan Zimmerman, he struck out 7 of the 11 hitters he's faced, so dialing it in and also helping himself at the plate. Bases loaded single, that would score a pair. So it's been the Jose Fernandez show here at Nats Park.
Yep. And by the way, and in Miami, he pitched earlier in the series, but this could be the second time this year he's kept the Nats from winning 3 out of 4 in a series with the Marlins. So we're going bottom 7. Espinosa, Drew, and Taylor. If anybody gets on, back to the top, and Ben Revere. Danny Espinosa, 0 for 2. Fly ball to deep left. Ground ball to second.
So 97 pitchers for Jose Fernandez. John Manley got a little action in his bullpen.
His season high, I noted earlier, is 106. First time out this season against the Tigers. Marlins opened at home with 2 interleague games. Strike 1. So the bottom of the order, 2 left-handed batters before Taylor. How to play left side. Nats have 3 hits all day. As FP noted, none since the Zimmerman inside the park home run. 0-2 pitch. Ripped by Danny right behind Davey Lopes.
All right, we got a rally hockey player in the booth right now. We'll see if he's got any runs in him. Jason Chimera's here. He lived up to his bargain. He must have heard me call him out down the suite. See if he's got some runs in him.
After you noted him live on TV crushing a hot dog?
I called him out.
My question was that the first, second, or third one? That's my question. Fourth, he says. Breaking ball down and in.
Borderline call right there. Goes in Nat's way.
Base runners needed. 4-run ball game, bottom of the 7th. Espinosa rips one to the gap. Heading for the scoreboard. That'll be Danny's second hit of the series. Pulls into second with a stand-up double.
All right. It's a start. Fernandez had 102 pitches. Danny Espinosa drills a double in the gap. So maybe we do have a little good luck in the booth all of a sudden. Got a slider away. Good at bat. Get some runners on. They're in slam range. Load them up, see what happens. That ball's drilled. So a leadoff double for Danny Espinosa, and maybe you get into the Marlins bullpen here.
Danny Espinosa, 6th extra base hit of the season on his 3rd double. Stephen Drew 0 for 1 with a walk. So in his career, seeing Fernandez for the first time today, and now the 3rd time around with the AB. That's a good take on a borderline pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fernandez continues his quick work rate even with a man on base here. But on his next pitch, he'll be up close to his season high. 106 earlier against Detroit, 110 last time out against Milwaukee. So he's at 105 right now.
Good take.
Wow, what a take.
That was a strike for a while. I mean, big pitch coming. You're down by 4. Leadoff double. You take a tough slider right there. If you're going to make a comeback, you're feeling it's going to happen.
And there was a time you'd always be guaranteed a fastball in a situation like this, but these young pitchers who have so much power,
I mean,
such great repertoires, you just never know what a guy's going to throw you anymore.
You don't, but if you're up by 4 runs, you should challenge Stephen Drew with the fastball.
My point exactly.
We'll see.
No, he gets a slider in the dirt and he strikes out.
I struck out there too in my head.
How about that?
I mean, that's
strikeout number 9.
Bud and Burger packs presented by Budweiser on sale now. Get a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday game ticket plus a beer and a burger starting at just $35. Some restrictions apply. Visit nationals.com/Bud&Burger. But that's how you think as a hitter. You look at the scoreboard, you say he's up by 4. He's going to challenge me right here. He throws 97, and then he throws a 3-2 slider. So what do you do?
Michael A. Taylor against Fernandez's career. 2 for 6 with a walk. Michael A. started 1 game in this series so far. And that was game 1 yesterday. He had quite a day. A couple of walks, 2 hits, 2 steals, 2 runs. By the definition of a leadoff guy, it might have been the best performance by anybody in the number 1 spot this year.
His heater's been nice, but his slider has been the story in my mind.
Yeah.
And if you're Michael A. Taylor right here, you got to be thinking about a slider. You'd think down the way. He's going to try to expand.
Fastball to blow him away at 96. Strikeout number 10 for Jose Fernandez. Nissan will track it.
And he's tough to think with right now. I mean, a couple of sliders to a fastball at 96, and he's doing that whole empty the tank thing that Max Scherzer usually does. Whatever he's got left, he's giving you.
New season high in pitches, as well as strikeouts. 9 at Chicago, May 5th. In a 5-2 loss, his previous high. Now let me amend that. I was looking at Joe Ross's stats. 13 against the Tigers, 11 last time against Milwaukee. So he's got his third double-digit strikeout game.
That 13 against the Tigers was in 5 2/3. His pitch count was too high. He was on a pace to strike out 20 that game.
Making what we saw here Wednesday night even more remarkable.
Exactly.
With Max Scherzer doing what he did in under 120 pitches. Now the inning is up to Ben Revere. Up in the zone. Ballpark quiet, waiting for some hits.
I mean, obviously Dusty would love for this inning to get to Bryce Harper.
Outside, 3-2.
Change seats, other end of the dugout, mixing it up. Big pitch coming.
Payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Well, you don't get a 2-strike fastball from this guy unless he's got you 0-2. So Fernandez, 7 outstanding innings. The Marlins lead 5-1. Kind of a hard-hitting day in more ways than one for the Marlins. So we go to the top of the 8th. Justin Bour leads off, 0 for 3. And right on the edge from Yusmeiro Petit, who got a double play ball last inning. 12 pitches, 8 strikes. Shift is on. Stephen Drew in right field. Petit fires, and instead of firing as it looked like, he dropped in the changeup. Justin Bour 0 for 3 today, 1 for 9 in the series with a couple of walks. That ball bounced 5 feet in front of home plate, it appeared. By the way, nothing going on for the Phillies today. Reds all over them, 7-0. Mets at Colorado will be underway in about 20 minutes.
Phillies are winning one-run games every night, it seems like.
Yeah, don't let them come back in that game. If you're the Reds, they'll find a way to beat you. Right in front of that score, Michael A. Taylor takes that one. Toyota case for kids. 3 strikeouts for Joe Ross today. And every time the Nats ring somebody up, it's $37 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health, Washington area Toyota dealers, helping children and their families. There's Marcelo Zuna, 1 for 3, but he extended his National League leading, and that's all season long, hitting streak to 15 games. Got inside on his hands there, did Petit. Taylor again, 2 outs. WUSA 9, and they're with us today. Great to have them aboard. Giving away a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Watch Wake Up Washington on WUSA 9 tomorrow, starting at 6 for your chance to win. That's tomorrow morning. Chance to win a Mercedes-Benz CLA 250. There's only a few days left to enter to win, only on WUSA 9. Here's Real Muto, 3 for 3. Marlins have 8 hits today, 5 of them from their 7, 8, and 9 hitters, and 2 of their 3 RBIs from that spot. And that's Fernandez, the pitcher, who appears to be done. David Phelps warming. Jose Fernandez has thrown 117 pitches.
I think Don Mattingly left him in so long because where was the high stress inning? There really wasn't one for Jose Fernandez. So there was an easy 117, air quotes, easy 117 pitches.
1 run, 4 hits, walked 3, struck out 11. His second highest number for the season. Swing and a miss as Petit goes upstairs. And Yusmeiro Petit has faced 6 batters in 2 innings. Rendon, Harper, and Zimmerman, it has to happen really quickly. On Masson, brought to you by the DC Lottery Racing President's Scratcher. Play all four today. DC Lottery, lots of people win. And by University of Maryland, University College. Cool day. Well, the Nats have hit one home run today. Ryan Zimmerman's inside the Parker. $250 every time that happens. To the Children's National Health System. And that's from our friends, the Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Let's see the arsenal for David Phelps. Fastball average is 93. He'll cut that fastball. Curveball change to go with it. So this might be anybody but Jose Fernandez day as a hitter. When you have a guy that's kind of dealing, you want to see anybody else.
Yep. First up, Anthony Rendon, who's 1 for 3 career against David Phelps. He pitched in the 7th here last night, gave up a hit and a walk, but not scored upon. He walked Rendon. Murphy got a hit against him. Marlins a change or two on the mound and at first base, where Miguel Rojas goes over there to handle defensive duties, and he'll be batting 9th on the double switch.
Anthony Rendon has been frustrated with the outside corner all day today, and after that first strike, he almost took a bite out of the top of his bat. Did you see that?
A white strike zone can do that. And big league pitchers will stay out there as long as that's happening. 2-1 to Anthony Rendon, who in this series is 2 for 12 with an RBI and 5 walks, but 0 for 3 today. 4 hits all day against Fernandez. That ball hit well, but foul, slicing out of play.
A couple pitches ago, that's what I was talking about. Jose Fernandez painting the black. The first strike was outside. He's like, come on, seriously? All day you're going to call that? Ugh. That's way bigger than Dusty Baker's toothpick.
Two. Target in. Rendon got a slider, front door, and knocked it into left field. Anthony Rendon's aboard for Bryce Harper.
Anybody but Jose Fernandez, and here you go. Nice at bat by Anthony Rendon. Finally gets something out over the plate, takes advantage, checking in with a knock. Nicely done.
Bryce Harper career against Phelps, 0 for 3, 3 walks. Nats have 6 outs with which to work. And the meat of the order, the Miami bullpen has to get through. This one far from over. Bryce has lined out twice, once to right, once to left. Yelich made a fine play last time with 2 men aboard in the 5th. And Bryce, of course he walked today. 11 straight games. That happened back in the 1st.
Daily walk.
Blake Trinan getting ready for the top of the 9th. Bryce in the series, 2 for 6, 6 walks. Right in there, 1 and 2.
It looks like he's taken all the way on the first 3 pitches.
Not much of a shift on. Modified style with the runner at first. So Bryce trying to get aboard, but now he's got to go to work. Fastball's going to ring him up, and he walks away. 12th strikeout by the Marlins staff today.
Well, the first 2 are strikes for sure. That one on the black.
Could have been called either way, and Bryce walked away without a word. Chris Heisey for the pitcher next. Right in there, 1 ball, 1 strike. Where was the pitch on the inside the park homer?
Number 6.
All right, just off center cut.
Right in the nucleus.
I mean, that's a big zone. You don't see guys who go from the top of that box nearly to the bottom. That's as big as John Carlos. A 1-2 with 1 out, and that's well outside.
Another secret weapon lurking. Hits.
He feels better just putting on the batting gloves. 3-2. 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Right now it's a 4-2 homestand for the Nationals. Some damage on full counts. Zimmerman the other way. What a great sound that was. A wicked 1-hopper. Stanton drops it. That'll be an error on him. Rendon had stopped at second. And now the runners are at the corners with 1 out.
I'm telling you, you face somebody like Jose Fernandez, whoever else you face, the ball looks bigger. It's just a fact. And so far in this inning, the right-handers have had 2 good at-bats against Phelps. And that ball was 109 miles an hour off Ryan Zimmerman's bat. A bullet that Giancarlo Stanton kind of peeks up to see if Rendon was going, and that was a difference.
Base hit, E9. Chris Heisey, the Nationals' not-so-secret weapon off the bench. Heisey career against Phelps, 1 for 4.
Thinking about calling the bench Heis guys. Because, I mean, they're all doing something to help.
Yeah.
He seems like he's the leader of it just because he's got 3 pinch hit taters.
Strike call, it's even.
I mean, you could get T-shirts with machine guns and kind of do the wise guys thing and call them Heis guys. I'm a marketing genius, Bob. I really am. And modest, too.
Heisey 3 for 9 as a pinch hitter with all 3 home runs. And that is in there, 1-2. Nationals bench this year is batting .250, 10 for 40, 6 homers, 9 RBIs, pinch hitting. Now those are impressive numbers. Got to be swing mode here with 1 out. Did he go? No, says Chris Guccione.
Well, that's a great take. 95 miles an hour on the cutter from Phelps, and he's painted the outside black. Now he tries to expand with a cutter.
Ooh, that was close.
He caught a break, maybe.
Don Mattingly wanted that to be the 2nd out. The power of Ramos on deck. Heisey, swing and a miss, 2 outs. Now it's up to Wilson Ramos, who's 1 for 5 career against the right-hander David Phelps.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Ramos 1 for 3. That's nasty, inside edge. (5-1) Marlins. They've out-hit the Nationals 8-6. Washington has already stranded 6 runners. And Wilson fights to stay alive. Inning over. Phelps gives up a couple of hits, but he strikes out all 3 that he retired. This one to the 9th inning. The Nats have stranded 8 in a 5-1 game. Our next television game will be in the Big Apple on Tuesday night. Times Square, the skyscrapers, standing tall with 20 strikeouts. Max Scherzer goes for the Nats. He'll be opposed by Noah Syndergaard, who's 3-2 with a 3.52 ERA and a stingy 180 in 3 starts against the Nats.
Coming off a 2-homer game.
And when this one's over, tune into our Nats Extra postgame show presented by W.B. Mason. Johnny and Ray here at the ballpark. Blake Trinan to keep the Marlins right where they are. Echeverria, Rojas, Dietrich, 8, 9, and 1. Danny Echeverria, 1 for 6 career against Blake Trinan.
Lefty's hitting .235 off Blake this year. That was a point of emphasis for him this offseason, so he's done a real nice job against lefties, and that right-handed average will go down.
Low and away. Three and one. Chopper. That's trouble. Trying in bare hand. Close and safe at first. Potomac Nationals back in town next week. So on the 27th, Lucas Giolito t-shirt. On the 28th, Bryce Harper MVP bobblehead. Bark in the Park on the 29th. PotomacNationals.com. Ichiro Suzuki. So evidently that wasn't a double switch with Rojas. It was a straight up. And Ichiro will pinch hit here in the number 9 spot.
I think Blake Trinan leads all of baseball in giving up swinging bunts down the third base line to right-handers. Seems like it happens at least once an outing to him.
Ichiro, 2,948 hits. He's off to the races trying to bunt for a hit. Ramos plays that extremely well. They'll give him a sacrifice on the 2-3.
I'll tell you what, I thought this was a hit all the way. Nice play by Wilson Ramos, bouncing out there. Good hand signal to call Anthony Rendon off so he knows the play's all his. Spin move, bullet right on the money, all in one motion, and a strike to Ryan Zimmerman. Nice play. That would have been a double for Ichiro in 2002. He was that fast. Did you see the guy in the Korean League that bunted for a double the other day? Bunted right over second baseman's head into short center field, and he had a stand-up double on a bunt.
Now that's hitting the sweet spot with a bunt. Sorry, a little behind in my Korean League highlights. That's very unique.
You don't get the Korean MLB channel?
Derek Dietrich, 0 for 3 with a walk today. Bounces one right behind his first base coach, Perry Hill. Dietrich 1 for 2 career against Blake. The Nats have Espinoza, Drew, and Taylor coming up. Bottom of the 9th. Kyle Barraclaw, who might someday be auditioning to be a closer, is warming up out there, firing his fastball up for that 9th inning. 0-2. There's Trinan with another good performance against a left-handed batter, as you alluded to. First strikeout, 2 down here in the 9th.
Nasty slider, 86 miles an hour. 85 on our gun, 86 on the scoreboard here at the ballpark. But either way, watch this thing break off the table. And I think that average is so high against right-handers, if 286 is high, is the swinging bunts. I guarantee you that's at least 3 or 4.
Happens to sinker ballers, doesn't it? Martin Prado, 0 for 4 career against Trinan. They meet for the second time this series in a step off. That's 2-0. Mets didn't score in the top of the first at Colorado. Right now, New York. Game and a half behind the Nationals. Phillies losing big. That is to the right of the bag. Strike one. Three and one to Martin Prado. Yelich on deck. This guy is a tough out.
It's almost like he's cheating to get to that fastball, and you can see him kind of stepping in the bucket looking for that sinker. And you just want to stay in slam range if you're Dusty Baker and the Nats right now. Load him up, see what happens in the bottom of the ninth. So a big out to get right here for Blake Treinen.
3-2 pitch. Little pop fly. Danny Espinosa is there, right behind the bag. So the bullpen did its job today. 3 1/3 scoreless innings. Bottom of the order coming up.
Holiday and Ray Knight, inviting you to stick around for our Nets Extra post-game show coming up in just a couple of minutes. Just 2 innings today told the difference for the Marlins in this game.
Yeah, Johnny, infield fly ball that got lost in the sun. 2 runs in the third. Joe Ross throwing great. You know, when you look at this ball game, Joe Ross 1 for 13, the top 3 hitters. The bottom 3, 6 for 11 with 4 runs scored. That's kind of the difference.
And as Bob just mentioned, the bullpen once again getting the job done, trying to help Joe Ross get off the hook for a loss today. Let's go back to Bob upstairs with FP for the bottom of the ninth.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Ray. Espinosa, Drew, and Taylor.
Oh, I promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And just what Ray Knight was talking about, this pop-up at second base. Watch how late he sees it. And watch how late he told everybody that he couldn't see it. So maybe he had it for a minute, threw his arms out and tried to catch it all in one moment. I had no idea where that baseball was until the very last second, stabbed at it. And that was a big moment in this game. It led to 2 runs right when you thought Joe Ross was working out of that jam.
25-year-old Kyle Bearclaw takes over for the Marlins here. Non-save situation, but for him, just as big as that. Throwing that fastball quite a bit.
Mid to upper 90s fastball. Breaking pitch is a slider. And he'll cut the fastball at 94.
Yeah, that one almost cut into Danny's sleeve. Espinosa 1 for 3 career against him. Bear Claus retired Worth and Zimmerman in this series and gave up a homer to Bryce Harper. 36,786. Not a lot to cheer about today. In fact, on the home run by Ryan Zimmerman, they were respectfully quiet as Ozuna and Stanton had that collision out there in right center by the scoreboard, and then they cheered afterwards. But really, for them, no jump out of your seat moment today yet. One, and that's right on the edge. Max Scherzer. What do you have for us Tuesday night, Max? At Citi Field. You remember the last time he pitched there?
It's a big series, boy. I mean, for the end of May, that's a big.
Sure.
It's as big as they get. And you remember when he got locked in last year?
End of May. Into June. Espinosa, base hit. Danny 2 for 4 today. You're starting to pile up some 2-hit games. Next up, Stephen Drew.
Well, the 5-run ninth inning started with a Danny Espinosa single. How about that?
Yeah. A 15 hopper into center. Drew today 0 for 2 with a walk.
But you remember last year when Max threw that 16 strikeout game against Milwaukee? That's when it all started happening. And he's a guy that a lot like a hitter that gets hot. I'm anxious to see how his arm bounces back from that performance.
Yeah.
Will he be tired? Will he be energized and stay locked in for 4 or 5 starts? When we saw all those incredible accomplishments last year. So stay tuned. It's going to be a big series. And the Mets hit taters. That's what they do. They hit home runs. They
52
swing,
of them.
They swing hard in case they hit it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Battle of the 2 of the top 3 home run hitting teams in the league.
While working the count, too.
2-0 to Drew. This could get interesting. Ball 3.
Hey, if you're a young pitcher and you haven't gotten those last 3 outs in a ball game, regardless of the score, it could be a little unnerving.
Yeah, like I said, safe situation for him. Not even close. 2 on, nobody out. Michael A. Taylor, then Ben Revere. Going to cause the manager to pace. Taylor has been dominated by Bear Claw, so a big AB for Michael A. here. Now they're getting their closer warmed up.
And if you're Ramos, were you expected to come into this game? Because here comes Don Mattingly. I think he's going to him right here, right now.
Yeah, the tying run's in the on-deck circle, so suddenly it's a safe situation. And Don is taking his slowest walk possible to the mound here.
His 30-second clock's up already. Where is it?
AJ didn't appear in the series until last night when he pitched the ninth with a 6-run lead. Gave up a hit to Lobatone, got a double play ball and shut the door. 8 pitches, 7 strikes. So Don Mattingly is going to the bullpen. So the Nats have forced the Marlins to employ their closer here in a 5-1 game. for 3 career with a walk against A.J. Ramos. He's trying to get his 10th save of the year right here.
Yeah, fastball slider changed the arsenal. Fastball in the low 90s. He loves the slider at around 80. He'll throw that to righties and he'll drop the change to lefties.
Two on, nobody out.
And this is where Michael A. Taylor has to pretend he's a leadoff hitter leading off an inning and try to get that tie-in run to the plate any way he can. His job is to get on base, not necessarily drive somebody in.
So he takes 91 right in there. Ramos, a 1.20 ERA in his first 16 appearances, 21 Ks, but he's walked a few. In fact, more than a few. He's walked 11 batters. The Nats, they've split a couple of series. This could be another one, but they're trying to make it 8-2-2.
Well, you know Dusty Baker's chirping down there saying, here we come, let's go. Talk to the guys about how much he talks to them during the game, how much he keeps them into a game. They all to a man say he is always firing us up on the bench.
0-2 now. Taylor takes Lone away. Great speed at second. Drew 90 feet behind Espinosa. Taylor got a breaking ball, stayed with it, and fouled it away.
Dusty's dying to get hits in this game. He is, and he's ready to go, and you wonder if the bases are loaded, would he fire him in there for Ben Revere even?
One and two again. Taylor the other way and just foul. The ball right off the end of the bat. But as I mentioned earlier, when he started game one of the doubleheader yesterday, Michael A. was the ultimate leadoff guy. On base 4 times in 5 at bats. Came in to play center field in the 7th inning today. He was strikeout victim number 10 of Fernandez. And the 1-2 battle again. Ooh, that was high and tight.
Boy, that's tough. I mean, he's thinking, I got to stick my teeth in there to cover that slider away. So he starts his process by diving, and then he gets 84 right under his chin.
Five-1 game, bottom of the 9th, nobody out. Taylor, pop fly, hoping the breeze takes care of it, but the breeze is going to keep it in play. So that's caught by Prado. That wind blowing from left to right kept that ball in the park. Ben Revere now. Yeah, it would have been an interesting call for Dusty had this been the tying run at bat.
Be interesting to see the fan reaction at Citi Field.
Oh, I
on
can't
Tuesday when Daniel hits Murphy, walks up to the plate.
Can't wait.
I'm sure it'll be. You'd think it would be a standing ovation.
They might all be
Who knows?
standing.
Who knows?
You might be right about that. Here's Revere. I mean, did they go to the World Series last year without
No.
Daniel Murphy? No.
No. I'd give him a standing ovation if I was a Mets fan, but we'll see. It's going to be must-see TV. The whole series is.
All night games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 0-1 to Revere. Ben Revere career against Ramos.
He got a hit for Rendon.
3 for 8.
Holy smokes.
There you go. Well, he could go to second and Drew to third if there had to be a 10th inning. And 2-1.
Same way for Ben Revere. He's full on leadoff mode here, trying to get Daniel Murphy to the plate with the bases loaded. But that's news, I feel like. That Anthony Rendon is not going to hit, and Daniel Murphy is.
Rendon against Ramos' career, 2 for 7. Murphy 3 for 12 with a home run. You know, and then Harper after that, so stay tuned. Three and 1. As I told you, Ramos has walked some guys this year. The strikeout to walk ratio just over. In fact, just under 2-1.
You take right here if you're Ben Revere.
Yeah, how you feeling? Hitting with 2 strikes. He's taking. Borderline fastball fills the count. He's a contact guy. And that is a fastball right in there. And Ben Revere in this series is 1 for 14, 2 outs. Here comes Murphy.
15th strikeout today for the Nats.
First pinch hitting appearance this year for the league's leading hitter at 403. Trying to get this thing to Bryce Harper. As mentioned, Murphy 3 for 12 against Ramos, a double, a homer, a walk, 2 RBIs. Some of the misses have been pretty big.
The rally lid's working.
Taking all the way on 2-0.
Dusty Baker just wants to get him to the plate. That's it. Whatever happens after that, so be it.
2-1 pitch. That's ball 3. Second straight time he gets that fastball to the outer edge on a 3-1 pitch. Well, here we go. Runners are beyond the move with 2 outs. Espinosa at second, Drew at first. Murphy to center. Marlins are going to storm back and get a split in this series. And the season series tied at 5 between these two ball clubs. The Nats held to 1 run on 7 hits. And today they stranded with 2 here in the 9th. 10 base runners. Fernandez the winner. Ross the loser. So for FP and Dan, Bob Carpenter, the final, the Marlins 5 and the Nationals 1. And it's a 4-3 homestand. Join us tomorrow night, actually Tuesday night now, day off tomorrow. The Nats in New York, 6:30. Nats Extra pregame. Max Scherzer, Noah Syndergaard. This has been a presentation of Masson and from the ballpark. 3 hours and 3 minutes of baseball. So long for just a while.